In 1963, something crazy happened in football history. A goalkeeper won the most prestigious individual award in football. It has never happened before, and it'll never happen again. But we'll get back to that later in the video. And in 2020, football's biggest prize, it just didn't exist. No winner, no ceremony, nothing. And for almost 40 years, two of the greatest players who ever lived, Pelé and Maradona, were never even allowed to win it. This is the Ballon d'Or, the golden ball, the trophy every footballer dreams about. And its history is way weirder than you think. By the end of this video, you'll know why a DJ once ruined the biggest night of a female footballer's career, why Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi basically broke the entire award, and how a magazine in Paris accidentally created the most famous trophy in world football. This is the insane story of the Ballon d'Or. It's 1956. There's no internet, no global broadcasting deals, no Instagram clips of wonder goals. If you wanted to know who the best footballer in the world was, you basically had to trust word of mouth and a handful of journalists. That's where France Football magazine comes in. A French sports journalist named Gabriel Annaud, the same man, by the way, who's credited with pushing for the creation of the European Cup, which would later become the Champions League, wanted a way to crown the single best player in Europe each year. So, France Football created the Ballon d'Or, literally golden ball. And in 1956, the very first winner was English winger Stanley Matthews, a guy in his 40s, voted for by a small panel of European journalists. Here's the catch though, and this is where it gets weird. The award wasn't just focused on Europe. For its first 39 years, only European players representing European clubs were eligible. That means some of the greatest footballers who have ever lived were never even in the conversation. Pelé, never eligible. Garrincha, never eligible. Diego Maradona, arguably the best player on the planet through the 1990s, never eligible because he was Argentinian. Imagine an award for best basketball player in the world that simply refuses to consider anyone who isn't European. That's what this was for nearly 4 decades. It wasn't until 1995 that the rules changed to allow any player, regardless of nationality, as long as they played for a European club. It took until 2007 for the award to finally open up to literally any player, anywhere, on any club in the world. So, next time someone says Messi has more Ballon d'Ors than Pelé, just remember, Pelé was never even allowed to enter the race at the beginning of the competition. Now, once the award actually started running, things got strange fast. And believe me, no one in the history of football saw this coming. In 1963, Soviet goalkeeper Lev Yashin, nicknamed the Black Spider for his all-black kit and insane reflexes, won the Ballon d'Or. To this day, he is the only goalkeeper in history to ever win it. Not Buffon, not Casillas, not Neuer. Even after winning the World Cup and being arguably the best player on the planet for an entire tournament in 2014, just Yashin, one time, ever. That tells you everything about how this award actually works. It's not really an award for the best player. It's an award that's always been wildly biased toward attackers and midfielders who score and create. Defenders and goalkeepers basically don't stand a chance, no matter how good they are. Then, in 1968, Manchester United winger George Best won it at just 22 years old, during the peak of his fame, dating models, opening boutiques, basically football's first global celebrity. Here's the dark twist. That Ballon d'Or year is often pointed to as the beginning of his decline. Best later admitted the fame and partying that came with that level of stardom fed directly into the alcoholism that would derail and eventually end his career. The trophy that was supposed to be the high point of his career became, in hindsight, a warning sign. Then there's the players who completely dominated the award before the modern era. Johan Cruyff, Michel Platini, and Marco van Basten are the only players to win it 3 times before the Messi-Ronaldo era completely rewrote the record books. Platini's 3 wins are maybe the most insane of all. He won it 3 years in a row: 1983, 1984, and 1985. Nobody, not Messi, not Ronaldo, not anybody has ever managed 3 consecutive wins like that. But the weirdness wasn't done yet, not even close. Now, here's where it gets really messy, because at one point, the Ballon d'Or actually stopped being the Ballon d'Or. It got swallowed by FIFA. Then there was a bitter falling out. In one bizarre year, the award simply didn't happen at all. No winner, no trophy, nothing. And the player who probably deserved it that year? He's still angry about it to this day. Stick around, because this next part is where the Ballon d'Or basically had an identity crisis, and it directly shapes how the award works right now in 2026. In 2010, FIFA Football's global governing body had its own rival award called the FIFA World Player of the Year, running since 1991. Instead of competing forever, France Football and FIFA decided to join forces. The 2 awards merged into one super trophy, the FIFA Ballon d'Or. For 6 years, from 2010 to 2015, this was the award. One trophy, decided by a giant global panel coaches, captains, and journalists, all voting. But behind the scenes, the relationship between France Football and FIFA was falling apart. There were disagreements over money, over credit, over control of the voting process. And in 2016, right in the middle of football's FIFA corruption scandal era, when FIFA's reputation was already in the gutter, France Football pulled the plug. The partnership ended. The award split back into 2 separate things again: France Football's Ballon d'Or and FIFA's own Best FIFA Football Awards. Both still exist today, awarded in the same year, often to different players, which still confuses casual fans constantly. But the real chaos came in 2020. That year, the COVID-19 pandemic completely disrupted football. Seasons were paused for months. Some leagues finished early. Some were canceled outright. Matches were played in empty stadiums. France Football's decision? Cancel the Ballon d'Or entirely. For the first time in its history, no Ballon d'Or was awarded. Their reasoning: it wouldn't be fair to compare players across leagues that had wildly different numbers of games played, different formats, different conditions. The problem is that season, Bayern Munich's Robert Lewandowski was having maybe the single most dominant individual season of the entire decade. He won the Champions League with Bayern. He was scoring at an absurd rate. By most reasonable measures, he was the best player on the planet that year. He just never got the trophy for it. No Ballon d'Or exists for 2020, period. Lewandowski has talked about it publicly multiple times since. He's been diplomatic about it, but it's pretty clear it still bothers him. He had, statistically, one of the greatest seasons any forward has ever had, and there's a permanent, literal gap in the history books where his trophy should be. Okay, now for the part most of you came for. But before we get into it, if you've been enjoying the video so far, please do well to like this video and hit that subscribe button. It takes just 2 seconds. Thanks. Between 2008 and 2017, something happened to the Ballon d'Or that had never happened before and will probably never happen again. 2 players took total control of it: Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. For 10 straight years, one of these 2 men won the Ballon d'Or every single year, no exceptions. Think about how insane that is. In that same decade, the world produced incredible talents: Neymar, Luka Modric as a younger player, Andres Iniesta coming off a World Cup win, Zlatan Ibrahimovic doing Zlatan things. It didn't matter. The trophy was basically locked behind a 2-man race. Messi currently sits at 8 Ballon d'Ors. Ronaldo has 5. Between them, that's 13 of the awards given out since 2008 alone. And here's the thing, The rivalry became so intense that the award itself basically became a referendum on them, rather than a genuine who was the best player in the world. Fans, pundits, and even voters openly debated their careers, not just their years. Winning became as much about narrative and legacy as it was about actual season-by-season performance. This led to some legitimately controversial snubs. In 2018, Ronaldo had just won the Champions League again with Real Madrid, yet he didn't even finish in the top two. Modric won that year instead, partly riding the wave of Croatia's incredible run to the World Cup final. Ronaldo fans still bring this one up constantly. Karim Benzema is another case. For years, he was one of the most underrated elite strikers in Europe, constantly overshadowed by Messi and Ronaldo's dominance. It took an outrageous, single-handed Champions League carrying season in 2021-2022, where he basically dragged Real Madrid to the trophy by himself with ridiculous comebacks for voters to finally give him the award. In 2022, after nearly 2 decades as a top-level professional, the lesson here? The Ballon d'Or has never purely been about stats. It's about timing, trophies, storylines, and, let's be honest, who the football world is currently obsessed with. Now, here's a part of the story a lot of people don't know at all. The Ballon d'Or existed for 62 years, over 6 decades before there was ever a women's equivalent. It wasn't until 2018 that France football finally introduced the Ballon d'Or Féminin, recognizing the best female footballer in the world. The first winner was Norwegian striker Ada Hegerberg, a genuine trailblazer, a phenomenal goal scorer who deserved every bit of that recognition. But what should have been one of the proudest moments of her career got completely overshadowed. During the ceremony, right after she accepted the trophy, the event's DJ, a man named Martin Solveig, turned to her on stage in front of the entire football world and asked her if she could twerk. Hegerberg's response was a flat, dignified no, and she moved on. But the moment instantly went viral, for all the wrong reasons. It became a global symbol of exactly how women's football was still being treated, even at its own supposed celebration. As an afterthought, a punchline, something to be trivialized, even at the moment of its biggest individual honor. The backlash was massive and immediate, and it forced a real, public conversation about respect in women's football that arguably still shapes how these ceremonies are run today. It's a strange, uncomfortable footnote, but it's part of this trophy's real history, and it shows that the weirdness of the Ballon d'Or isn't just trivia. Sometimes it's a mirror held up to the sport itself. So, here's where that leaves us. A goalkeeper who broke through once and never again. A merger with FIFA that collapsed into bitterness. A year that simply vanished from the record books. A decade hijacked by 2 of the greatest rivals the sport has ever seen. And a women's award that's still fighting, year by year, for the same respect the men's trophy has had since the 1950s. A trophy that started as a Eurocentric magazine vote in 1956, an award that excluded Maradona and Pelé for being born on the wrong continent, not until 2014, when France football admitted those original rules had overlooked some of football's greatest legends, and Pelé was presented with an honorary Ballon d'Or, a symbolic recognition that many believe he would have won multiple times had non-European players been eligible from the start. The Ballon d'Or isn't just a trophy. It's basically a 70-year time capsule of everything football has gotten right, and everything it's gotten embarrassingly wrong. If you learned something weird today, you know what to do. Drop a comment with the Ballon d'Or moment that surprised you the most. And if you're new here, this is Uyi, where we dive into facts, histories, and untold stories about football. If this is what you'd love, please do well to like, share, subscribe, and turn on your notifications to be notified when we upload our next video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.